The story of the Zodiac Killer stands as one of the most eerie and perplexing mysteries in American crime history. Between the late 1960s and early 1970s, a series of brutal murders occurred across Northern California, an area typically known for its peaceful and scenic atmosphere. What made these murders so terrifying wasn't just the violent nature of the killings, but the cryptic and taunting letters the killer sent to the media, the police, and the public. These letters, filled with coded messages and threats, drew attention, but the killer's identity was never uncovered, and he was never captured. To this day, the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most infamous unidentified criminals in history, and his legacy continues to intrigue and terrify. The Zodiac's reign of terror began with the cold-blooded murder of teenagers Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. On December 20, 1968, they were parked on a quiet road in Vallejo, California, enjoying a date. Without warning, a man approached their car, shot them both point-blank, and fled the scene. The attack was quick and brutal, and the authorities were left with little evidence to investigate, making it difficult to form any solid leads. In July 1969, less than 7 months after the first attack, the killer struck again, this time targeting a young couple at a remote Lover's Lane. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were sitting in a parked car at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo when a man approached, ordered them out, and opened fire. Ferrin died immediately, but Mageau survived, though he was severely wounded. In his recovery, he gave a description of the killer, which was consistent with a white male, about 5'8", and with a stocky build. This description, though vague, marked the first real piece of evidence that would help shape the investigation. A month later, on September 27, 1969, the Zodiac would commit another murder, this time in the remote area of Lake Berryessa in Napa County. This attack was different. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Ann Shepard were relaxing by the lake when a man in a hood approached them, holding a large knife. The man told them he was an escaped convict and tied them up. After stabbing both of them multiple times, he drew a symbol on Hartnell's car door, resembling a cross within a circle, before walking away. Hartnell survived the brutal assault, but Cecilia succumbed to her wounds. This marked the first time the Zodiac used his infamous symbol, which would later become associated with his identity and legacy. Following this attack, the killer sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, confirming his role in the Lake Berryessa stabbings. The letter was chilling in its tone, containing both details about the crime and a cryptogram. The Zodiac promised to continue his killing spree and taunted the police and the public with threats of further violence. This letter marked the beginning of a series of cryptic communications, in which the killer presented himself as both intellectual and frighteningly arrogant, boasting about his ability to outsmart the authorities. The Zodiac's letters continued to haunt the media and law enforcement throughout 1969 and 1970. One of the most notable pieces of correspondence was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle on July 31, 1969. The letter contained a 408-character cipher that the Zodiac demanded be printed. He mocked the police for their inability to catch him and made veiled threats, claiming he would kill more people unless his letters were taken seriously. A schoolteacher and his wife later solved the cipher, but it did not lead to any significant breakthroughs in the case, and the identity of the Zodiac remained a mystery. In 1970, the killer struck again, targeting another young couple on a secluded road in San Francisco. This time, however, there were fewer clues to follow, and the attack was even more random than the previous ones. Once again, the Zodiac managed to evade capture, leaving law enforcement stumped and unable to make any progress in the case. This murder would be one of the last the Zodiac would claim responsibility for, and his attack seemed to taper off after this point. Though his killing spree slowed down, the Zodiac's presence didn't disappear entirely. In the following years, his letters continued to taunt the press and law enforcement, each one more bizarre than the last. In 1974, another letter arrived, though this one did not contain any new confessions or threats of murder. The tone of the letters grew colder, more distant, and increasingly erratic. With each passing year, the Zodiac seemed to retreat further into the shadows, disappearing from the public eye, but continuing to haunt the collective consciousness of the Bay Area. The case eventually went cold, with the killer never being caught and the investigation becoming a distant memory for many. The letters stopped coming, and the murders seemed to stop as well. Despite this, the mystery of the Zodiac Killer continued to intrigue the public. Various theories emerged over the years, each one proposing a different suspect or angle. Some focused on Arthur Lee Allen, a man with a criminal background who had been linked to the Zodiac case, though there was no solid evidence to implicate him. Other theories speculated that the killer may have been a military man or someone with insider knowledge of law enforcement techniques, but again, these were just theories with no substantial proof. In the years following the last known Zodiac letter, the case remained open, and cold case detectives continued to search for answers. The use of modern forensic techniques, including DNA analysis, gave new hope to those still determined to solve the case. In 2007, the investigation was officially reopened, and new leads were explored. However, despite the advancements in technology, the Zodiac's identity remained elusive. As the years passed, new theories continued to surface, some offering fresh insights into the case. In 2021, a group of cold case investigators brought attention to a new theory about the Zodiac's identity, but law enforcement remained tight-lipped about any potential breakthroughs. The case is still unsolved to this day, and the mystery of the Zodiac Killer continues to fascinate and horrify those who study it. Though no one knows for sure who the Zodiac Killer was, his impact on the Bay Area and the wider public is undeniable. The chilling nature of his murders, his cryptic letters, and his ability to remain unidentified for decades have ensured that the Zodiac will never be forgotten. Even as technology improves and new investigative methods emerge, the case remains one of the most confounding unsolved mysteries in criminal history. The Zodiac's identity may never be known, but the fear and fascination he stirred during his reign of terror will never fade. Don't miss out on future updates. Subscribe now for more thrilling stories and insights. Stay connected and informed with every new video.